if you guys got to do anything. We had a little bit of a technical problem. Of course, technology, when you need it, is when it doesn't. So we've got 3 different systems running, so appreciate your patience. You guys all ready? Good. Well, we want to welcome you to the city of Oldsmar. This is kind of a great day. We're turning 100 years old this year, and this is the first ever press conference that we've ever done, and we want to thank you for coming. The city of Oldsmar, as I said, is 100 years old, and I also want to thank a couple of people that have helped make this happen. Deb Pauley in our city clerk's office has really worked hard on this. Adam in the IT department have really worked hard. We weren't sure if we were going to release this, but we decided we probably should. So we're actually honored to be in consideration for a potential site for the Rays in Tampa Bay. We're excited about showing you what we've got. Let me give you a little bit of history about how this came about. It started about 4 years ago when I became mayor. By the way, my name is Doug Beavis, and I'm the mayor of the city of Oldsmar. And it started about 4 years ago, right after I became mayor. And it was about the time that the city of St. Petersburg and the Rays were kind of butting heads about where to put a stadium site. And my city manager, who is here right now, Bruce Haddock, and I, kind of tongue-in-cheek, indicated that, you know, we had property in Oldsmar that would be ideal for a stadium. And so about 3.5 years ago, we met with outside counsel for the Rays and kind of discussed the idea and the property. Got some feedback from him, and my city manager and I just said, you know, well, is this crazy? Should we just go back home? And he said, no. He said, actually, every site is going to have issues. He goes, the one thing that your site has, and you'll hear me talk about it a little bit later, the one thing that your site has that other sites don't have is one property owner that has property in both Hillsborough and Pinellas County, which has the ability to get funding from both counties. So my city manager and I proceeded. I would have the conversation every chance I took, anybody that would listen. And of course, the first time you would say it, they would say Oldsmar, and they would just kind of laugh. And if you've been around Oldsmar for quite some time, we had the flea market and JR's, but we're a much different city now. And when I started to explain some of the things that I'm going to explain to you today, they finally started to listen to us. As a matter of fact, a restaurateur that recently opened in Oldsmar, I told him the idea, and he kind of chuckled, but in about 10 minutes after I went through the scenario of why I think that it's a good place for it, he was ready to buy season tickets. And that's kind of the response that we've got every time we talk about it. And it's then kind of neat. I know my city manager and I both have situations where all of a sudden we're someplace and other people start talking about it for us, which is great. Or you hear it over talk at a bar watching a Rays game. So we've continued on that mission and talking to people. We talked to residents. We talked to businesses, big and small. We talked to elected officials. And then recently, I think it was in early April, there was a legislative luncheon or legislative breakfast. And a lot of the elected officials are there. And the first question out of the gate was, where should the Rays Stadium go? And without hesitation, Representative Ahern, Representative Jamie Grant, and Senator Jack Latvala, all one right after the other, said Oldsmar would be a great location for a stadium. The interesting part of that is that happened on a Thursday, and Tuesday of that week, we had previously met with Brian, my city manager and myself had met with Brian and Melanie from the Rays and talked to them. And we were there for probably about an hour and a half. We told our ideas, our side of the story. We showed them a lot of the drawings that we're going to show you today. They told us a little bit about what they're looking for. And you saw in the St. Pete Times the 6 key points that are important to the Rays in picking a location. So we took that, and that's on the brochure that you have, or if you don't have it, you can get one. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to tell you why Oldsmar is a great location for a potential stadium site, to build the come early, stay late feeling. We think we've got a great opportunity for it. We've kind of have a blank palette that we can work with. And Francisco Simch is here with me. I apologize. He's the architect that we've been working with. He did this all pro bono, his firm. Been working very hard for this, and I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about the site and the history behind the site and his involvement with it and the city as well, and then kind of how we married the two together. Francisco, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Francisco Semch. I'm the president of FSA Inc., Architecture and Construction. And just a little disclaimer, this is a very exciting project for us. We've been working in something like this for like 10 years. So if I get excited, sometimes my Texas accent gets pretty thick. So I apologize if somebody doesn't understand. Maybe they can ask me later. We've been doing work in Oldsmar for the past 10 years. We have done a few buildings, a few projects. We have competed and won a couple of town centers competition from the city of Oldsmar. The economy hasn't allowed to pursue those ones. So we've been very active. 8 years ago, I started participating in the task force for the downtown Oldsmar redevelopment. And so we've been in contact with the city officials, the Chamber of Commerce, and businessmen in the area, and businesswomen. So we are very familiar with Oldsmar desires, vision, et cetera, that any city works on a daily basis. So when this conversation started, I sat with Bruce, and that's what Haddock, and that's what the whole process started. And we decided to study, explore, in that 120-acre site, which is part of a 150-acre site.
450, yeah. 450.
Yeah, 450. That's one property owner. And of the 450, we select 120, which are on the west side of Racetrack Road for this development, even though that we're using around 50 to 60 acres on the east side of Racetrack Road, which is Hillsborough County also. So both counties will benefit from this planning. Now, like anything else, this is a conceptual plan. After this, anything can happen, things change, programs will be available for selected designers. A group will be selected to do the whole development, wherever the site goes. But this is an exercise to show the potential of this particular site has to offer to the race. And we have done this in collaboration with Wakefield Beasley and Associates, a firm out of Atlanta, Georgia. I used to be the regional director 10 years ago, and we kept a pretty good relationship. And they have done lifestyle centers, development through all type of sport facilities around the world. So, I always like the city hall will be surrounded by the right consultants to approach any project of this magnitude. So how the afternoon is going to go is that we have 3 parts. Right now, we're going to start with a PowerPoint presentation. Mayor Davis and myself will be addressing the 6 key points that the race have envisioned for their new location, what's important for them. After that, we have a 3D computer animation, 3.5 minutes, that is going to unveil the project with the fly-through and walk-through. So you're really going to get the sense of the cell culture. Come early.
Stay late.
Correct. So leave late. So CALL, culture that the race wanted to have the approach for their project. After that, we're going to unveil 9 boards that will represent the best angles of the master plan, and then we're going to have question and answers. Right?
Thank you. And so there are 6 key components that were important. They're listed on the back of your brochure. The first one is regional connectivity. And the first is the stadium site development, provides centralized location at the center of Tampa Bay. You can see the site depicted there. Then we go to population. These are one of the things that are very important. Obviously, we know that the Rays, again, finished 5th in attendance for the lowest attendance for the 5th year in a row. So we really wanted to look at the demographics. The Rays were looking at 30 minutes, but we wanted to look at 60 minutes and see what that provided. If you can see, the 60-minute drive time shows 3 million people with an average household income of $67,000. You drop down to the 30 minutes, you can see where it gets. It gets all the way down to MacDill Air Force Base, out to Brandon, gets down towards about Pinellas Park, and all the way up into Trinity. 1.1 million people with, again, an average income of $67,000. And then we took it one step further. We wanted to look at the 20-minute, and you can see it gets over into Hillsborough County, still up into the north, but it's a population of about a little over 400,000 people, and now the average household income jumps to $75,000. So I think that's very important. The next is the location. Within 20 minutes of both international airports, we think that's very important. And then the next one, I think, is a really key component, not only for baseball, but for regional transportation. What you're looking at there is the CSX corridor. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the CSX and FDOT are talking about a similar plan that they did in Orlando, where the DOT takes over the rail and leases it back to CSX for the little bit of travel that they need. And that rail line runs from downtown St. Petersburg up through the middle of Pinellas County, through Largo, through downtown Clearwater, through Safety Harbor, and then it runs just south of the race site, potential race site that we're talking about. It continues into Hillsborough County, it goes down Bush Boulevard, and then it makes a bend into downtown Tampa. And then there's also a spur that runs off of it north to Hernando County. So we think if that could be converted into a passenger train line, that would be a huge asset for the stadium location. Also, I'm on the board of directors of the PSTA, and for once in my life, I've been here since 1982. The two transit companies are really working together to make one regional transportation. And I talked to the CEO of PSTA, and he indicated that no matter where the stadium goes, that the PSTA is committed to make transportation to the stadium the best that it can be, and Hart is equally as well. The next item is site accessibility. And this is one of the things that comes up, and I'll kind of answer that, is transportation. Currently, the transportation to Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Polk County and Pasco County and Hillsborough County all funnel through Pinellas County, down the interstate system, down onto one-lane Central Avenue and Martin Luther King. With the stadium location that we have here, we've got Hillsborough Avenue that comes from the Hillsborough County side, 6 lanes. We've got Tampa Road that comes from the Pinellas County side, 6 lanes, both converging on Racetrack Road that are 6 lanes as well. So, and you also have the Veterans Expressway, and as I mentioned, the CSX. And then here's a number that you may not know. Over 87,000 vehicles travel through Oldsmar daily along the state and county roads. And so we're used to the traffic. Also in the county work plan, I believe for 2017, is the expansion of Forest Lakes Boulevard. And also there's the potential for widening Linebaugh through West Chase. That was obviously in the plans when they laid out the right-of-way. And also, as Francisco mentioned, the stadium site itself also provides for on-site parking that does not affect the current parking associated with Tampa Bay Downs. And a little local asset that we feel is great that we hope will connect to the Upper Hillsborough Trail and the Pinellas County Trail is we ourselves have 10 miles worth of trails that can bring the local community. I've talked about this project to a lot of people, and they're excited that they and their kids could just ride their bikes to the game. And then also we have the future Tampa Road pedestrian overpass that we're working in design phase for right now, plus off-site park and ride locations that would be great to move fans to the game. The next is site geometry, and Francisco is going to talk about that.
Thank you, Mayor. This item, the rates are very specific. Size and geometry, they just ask for enough space for the up to 20 acres for the footprint of the stadium, and parking that is accessible close to the stadium. Well, we have both. We have assigned pretty much 70 acres to the race, 20 acres for the stadium, which is going to be on the north side of the property where the star is, which is the west side of Racetrack Road. On the far north will be the parking area, potentially going to be a couple of parking garage and a tailgate and parking and park. Our proposal is like a parking tailgate area. And around the perimeter of Forest Lake and Racetrack Road will be out parcels. It's going to be restaurants and other activities and entertainment to tie the building with the rest of the development. The building will be an integral part of the whole development. It's not going to be a building only by itself, and you're going to see that through the drawings that we're going to present you later on. So we're going to pretty much give 1/3 of the property on the north side to comply with the requirements.
Thank you. The fourth item is development readiness and financial feasibility. I've kind of already touched on this, but this location provides a unique opportunity for the potential joint contributions of both Hillsborough and Pinellas counties through public-private partnerships, plus the tourist development councils from both counties, plus the state. Another item is that the area's top Tampa employers, you can see them listed right there within 30 minutes of the stadium, including Nielsen Media's headquarters that employs about 3,000 people, Lockheed Martin, Microlumen, and the likes. Population growth. Here's another interesting thing that you may not know about the dynamics of the city of Oldsmar. Our nighttime population, the residents, is about 14,000 people. But the daytime population with the workforce is about 65,000 people. So our top employers bring in some high-class, high-wage jobs. And if you do the math, that's about 50,000 people that already come to this city. So the city and the road system is already set up to accommodate the 50,000 people that come and work here. The traffic feeder system, 6-lane Tampa Road, Hillsborough Avenue, 6-lane Racetrack Road, able to accommodate heavy traffic. Another fact that you may not know, they do a simulcast of the Kentucky Derby at Tampa Bay Downs. If you've never gone, it's a great experience. But they bring about 12,000 people, and I can tell you, because I know this personally, when that thing goes on with 12,000 people at that thing, nobody on Tampa Road even knows that it's going on unless they're actually going to the track. So we're able to accommodate things like that. The next item is catalyst for development. I'm going to talk about a couple of things. 5 major hotel chains that we have. When I moved here in 1982, I never would have told you that we would have 1, but we've got our 5th and we're looking at putting in more. It's also surrounded by a selection of retail and dining. We've got over I think, 100 restaurants in the city of Oldsmar, including some of the finest in here. Major attractions, Tampa Bay Downs, Oldsmar BMX Supercross track. It's an international destination. We just had the Olympics in Rio, and we had many countries from all around the world training at our BMX facility for weeks and months on end. As a matter of fact, we had the Olympic Mariana Pajon from Colombia and Connor Fields from the United States. Both won the Olympic gold medal in BMXing. They both trained here, and they both won the gold medal. So we're excited to have been a part of their path to Rio. We also hold an event called the Gator Nationals. We do that every year, and we're proud that we bring in 900 riders from over 24 countries and 38 states, and that's exciting. And that was recently constructed through the help of our legislatures at the cost of about $2 million, the majority of which was funded by a grant. We also just recently added, we like to live on the edge, I tell you. We like to invent. In power adventures and extreme aerial obstacles, we have added recently, and Oldsmar was the first Pinellas County to have a zip line, so we're excited about that. Other things that we have that bring people here, the Tampa Bay Skating Academy, the first twin ice rink surface in Florida. Also, we have everything else, movie theaters, golf courses, beaches, canoeing, kayaking, and trail systems. And then Francisco's going to tell you a little bit about what we envision in the future if this were to happen. Francisco?
Thank you. One of the key topics that the race have in order to involve and impact the community they're going to be playing with is the development. This is the master plan that we have created. As you see, we have on the north side the stadium with the parking facility to support potentially a couple of parking garages and some out parcels. Now, the interesting part is not only the stadium, but the other 70 acres in front of the stadium. It's a full lifestyle center which will encompass restaurants, retail, hotels, offices, apartments, movie theaters, grocery stores, parking garage for all the apartments in the area and the offices incorporated into the buildings. And it's going to have pathways, pretty much all the pedestrian enjoyment that people will have working, playing, and getting entertained in that area. Across the street, we have developed a retail center, a hotel, and an office park. This is going to be our proposal, and of course, can go anyway. The industry here, the technology is here. This may be a high-end IT headquarters. We have 3 office towers. One is 11-story, The second is 22 stories, and the third is a 33 stories building. So Oldsmar will have the first high-rise in the future. And when you see the master plan, you understand that it makes a lot of sense because what the rays are bringing to the site that they're going to be allocated, and that this particular property has the land to do that type of development. And yes, one thing that, and of course, is golfer. We're proposing where the existing driving range is to build a multi-story driving range. Like you see national-wide, you have a multi-story for all the amenities, the club, the restaurants, and all the facilities to have really a family event when you go and do your driving range for your golf game. So that's kind of the overall of the development that is going to happen just because of the race will be on site. But then there is more development that it may happen close by. A few years ago, Stantec, a firm that the city consulted with, that I'm part of it also, did a study on the flea market. And the next slide, you see there's a potential development in the flea market.
I think it's 30 acres.
It's around 30 acres. And the beauty is at the end, on the north side of this property, is where the railroad go through it, and a proposed terminal is right there, which will be on this development and 3 minutes from the race development experience. Thank you.
Next, local authenticity. Yeah.
Right, but with this description, I think everybody kind of had the sense that the cell culture will be provided. Come early, leave late. You can have all the amenities for the people coming from outside this location and for the people living in this location. And then we go to the final key element for the race, local authenticity. This will be provided in this when the race decide where to go, and they hire the design team. The beauty is that the Tampa Bay region, from Ybor City to Clearwater Beaches and St. Pete, has so much to give for the designer to come with the branding, so that they have enough information to enjoy coming with something very unique for the race.
And then I got to close in telling you this site truly represents the Tampa Bay region and can provide a 365-day experience year-round. For the fan experience, as he said, begins with a 3-minute walk from a future trail terminal, providing the option to come early, stay late, or even just live here. And with that, he's going to give you a little lead into the video. Go ahead.
Thank you.
It's got an interesting story.
We prepare a 3.5-minute computer animation, and we had added some audio also, so it has music to it. Now, the music that we choose is very appropriate for this event. We got a little emotional because it is, to do this type of production, to combine all the emotions of design, music, it's pretty good. I really love it. Anyway, this is the only violin concerto that Tchaikovsky did in the late 1800s. He had never done one, but he had a friend that played the violin. He wanted for him to be the soloist in this concerto. Well, he wasn't good enough, and the piece was too complicated. So they have the view, and they have to cancel because the soloist didn't have the guts to get it done. So they canceled. It was a lot of problems, and they finally found somebody that really trained and got the piece done, and then they present the concerto, and it was a total disaster, according to the critics. It was too long, it was too enthusiastic, and well, a bunch of things. It just took a little bit of time for the music lovers to go to the theater, listen to it, and discover the beauty of it and the value that that masterpiece has.
Much like the Oldsmar story we're telling today.
So with that, we'll get it so you can enjoy it.
It's on there. Click it.
It's on. Adam, better stop it.
You have the controller. Stop. Hit.
There.
We can't. Do we have audio, Adam?
Audio that's all included in the file. It's in the process.
Is there?
After all the promotion that I did, it's not gonna happen.
I don't know.
This is off the record. It's all-
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you can play your music through the microphone.
It's not?
If it's not playing, it's not there.
That's the file you gave me.
Okay, let's bring it back to the beginning.
Just hit back. It's right there in front of you. It's not touchscreen. You ready? You got your song?
Well, we're gonna use the cell culture. Oh, wait a minute. I have the volume. Okay. So it's gonna have to go microphone.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
You're gonna hold it near the microphone.
Okay, so
All ready?
Yep. Yep.
okay, now stop it. Can we stay with me? I'm gonna tell when to start.
Go ahead.
I stop it.
Is your music playing?
Yeah, but I stop it because we're gonna start a minute after this.
There you go.
Let me move it to the time that's gonna start then. Okay.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Can you add volume to it?
Is this your-
That's it. Now we'd like to give you some still images, and Francisco's going to talk a little bit about the first couple of boards and what you're seeing, which is images from the video. This is image number one, or overall, obviously. I don't know if you want to talk about that one, Francisco.
It's pretty self-explanatory. This is the master plan on site. And you can see the stadium, then you'll see restaurants, then it's going to be a hotel, offices, with parking on both sides. That's what the bridges are. They're going to connect. Second. We have a couple of pedestrian bridges connecting the masses that are going to be from the stadium to the retail, the Tampa Bay Downs, and the other one connecting the office with the office towers. And over here is going to be the housing, all the apartments with the parking garages, with the grocery store, movie theaters, retail, and another group of apartments. In this area is we're going to have the multi-story driving range and the office towers and the hotel, the Tampa Bay Downs, a little retail. And you can keep going developing all at the edge of Racetrack Road.
Or just different view, more of the same.
This is the full view of the master plan. You see the stadium, the hotel, the restaurants, the pathways to all the different shops, going to a plaza. The apartments, and then the office towers on the other side. It creates a very dynamic development that makes it unique as a new kind of urban setting. And there's going to be a few close-ups after this of the different areas. You see the stadium, you're going to see the plaza, all the restaurants, retail, hotels, buildings, the Tampa Bay Down. And then a little close-up of the towers. From State Road, if you do 9 to 11 story, you have a little peek of the bay. So on the Tampa Bay Downs, 22 story will be pretty good. 32 will be awesome. So we give them pretty much 15 stories of view or more to whoever headquarters or IT tenants will come to the site. These are going to be a little close-ups to the entertainment and the culture that they wanted to create for the human interaction through all the events that are going to happen, being baseball or any other activity that the race will plan with the people involved in the whole development. And again, a conceptual plan that shows the possibilities that this site allows for the race to have. And then we go for questions and answers. And then after, you're welcome to walk through it and look at the boards.
Any questions from the media?
I have a question, sir. Obviously, people in Tampa Bay don't think of Oldsmar as the most obvious place for a Major League Baseball stadium.
You should have been me for the past 4 years.
I understand that the architect don't need this time, but you're still using city resources. You've got staff here. Did you, at any point, just sit and think and ask yourself, is this the right thing to do for my city, or should I be focused on something more realistic?
Well, we think it's realistic or we wouldn't be here. And the answer to your question is yes, we had a little bit of staff time involved. Obviously, you have to. If you know anything about Oldsmar, we think big and we dream big. Francisco mentioned a project that he's worked on, but because of the economy, it didn't happen. It hasn't happened. That involves staff time. It hasn't involved a tremendous amount. Today was a little crazy, but over the time, it's been my city manager and myself really that have been doing it for the past 4 years at meetings that we go to and things like that. So it's been fairly minimal, if you will, on that. But he's donated all his time has probably been quite a bit.
So what's the focus around the neighborhoods that are affected by this? I'm not with the media, but just really wondering about, we talk about traffic, 20 minutes, 60 minutes, 40 minutes, being here. If you try to commute anytime, those times really change and double. The stadium, I love the stadium. It looks great. I don't love the fact of living off off of Racetrack Road, we pick coming out here because it's quieter and such, and then all of this influx coming in.
And I will address that a little bit, and Francisco can expand on it a little bit. As he indicated, this site has been being worked on, not as a stadium site, but as if you will, if you would just take out the stadium and expand some of that. That's basically what they envisioned. I think Tampa Bay Downs would like to be an entertainment destination. They've got 120 acres. You know, it's already been mast arms for traffic lights, and the turnouts have already been put in to go into this property. So something is going to happen on that property. This is just kind of a vision, and as I mentioned early on, a vision that really merged the two ideas of what Francisco has been working on for the past 8 years, and then kind of the thought of, you know, it could be a possible site for the Rays. And I think that if the Rays, or in any situation, if you don't analyze every site, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if you don't analyze every site that's potential, like Pinellas County produced, I believe, 10 sites that met the criteria of the 20 acres. We just think we meet it with a little bit more. So, you know, obviously we're going to have to address that. Mass transit's terrible in this city anyway, I can tell you, as being on the PSTA. So it needs to be fixed, and we think that the mass transit and this location will not only help for this site, but it'll help us as commuters too. So we need to get that thing fixed, and fixed in a hurry. So I'm not sure that answered you, but something was going to go in there anyway. So, Yep, Jeff?
Is that going to be your biggest obstacle, you think, as far as on the stop, is dealing with a lot of it's based on future of the transportation modes and things like that, and, you know, see that being one of the biggest obstacles right now?
Well, the biggest obstacle is getting the Rays to select us. So it's an obstacle. As I mentioned earlier when I started the talk, is that the outside counsel for the Rays indicated that every site's going to have its issues. You know, I don't think that it's an interstate system. I don't think the endpoint is the most ideal system when you get to down to Tropicana Field. So I think from that standpoint, and the fact that people are coming from alternative areas, you know, different directions, they're not all converging like a funnel down. As I mentioned, Forest Lakes is proposed to be widened. Linebaugh Avenue, obviously, at some point will be widened because they've got the right-of-way there. Racetrack Road has already been widened. So we've got a lot of infrastructure in place. If we can really incorporate that CSX line, that would be huge. And as Francisco was saying, you know, when you have a culture like this, a lot of these people, if it truly looked something like this, a lot of these people would be here. A lot of them might live here. A lot of them might work here. So, I mean, it's really a community unto itself. So if everybody that lived in this thing went to the game, it wouldn't affect the roads at all because they'd already be here. So, yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that because it's a great opportunity. This is a large development that doesn't come every generation, and this will spin off a few other benefits for the community. All this has benefit. This is a really good, clean entertainment. This is a really good family-oriented development. It doesn't happen that frequently. Two things that it may be impacted in a positive way. The Rays said we wanted to see existing accessibility to the site and future mass transit. So they understand if they move, wherever they go, it's going to be a nice impact for everything. They're not going to just come to congestion, the traffics. They're going to come with solutions to it. So the mass transit with the terminal close by, it will benefit all the upper Tampa Bay area. It's going to benefit spin-off for Pinellas, for Hillsborough, to start working on it. And then we will have a mass transit. And that will create other things that are going to benefit the whole Tampa Bay region. So Ray's importance to the site location is huge. And we think that because of these locations, the railroad track that we have close by, the properties that we have, and the quality of what we're proposing to have on site can be very attractive for investors, people that probably will never thought about coming. But you know, in the task force in the Chamber of Commerce that we meet, we try to cultivate the local future 500 Fortune companies, but at the same time, we wanted to bring large companies. And you offer them a mid-rise, a high-rise, a lifestyle, 3 minutes, 5 minutes to water, 3 minutes, 11 minutes, 15 minutes to Honeymoon Island. That type of 30 minutes distance, from 30 to 3 minutes, there's a lot of things to do within the area. So there's a lot of people, I think, if this is selected, they're going to be looking very seriously about being part of it. So we see everything positive. Traffic studies is going to happen. It's going to be very intelligent, high-end engineers looking into the traffic study, going to provide the best solutions so the public is taking care of it. So there's a lot of good things happening in something like this.
And I just want to, I don't think I touched on this in our talk, but 65,000 cars a day travel down Tampa Road. I don't envision another 20,000 cars on top of that going to the game. I envision a lot of those 65,000 cars are going to be the ones that are going to be going to the game. So I don't see it as big of an impact as a lot of people do. And I think the fact that they come from other areas and to your point about, and I appreciate you probably live in Twin Branch Acres, but I've talked to a lot of people in there. They're excited about it. And to that question, if Oldsmar didn't dream big, you can just go downstairs to the Historical Society. There are a lot of people that would like to have it the way it was with 100 bungalows and nothing else. But my city manager and I address this all the time, and the city council as well. Our vice mayor is here in the back of the room. Wellington Estates and other developments that have happened in here, the people would just like to leave it alone, but they didn't buy it to leave it alone. They bought it to invest and build on it. So this is just our vision of what could go there. If the Rays choose not to, something similar to this may go in there anyway. So we're going to have to address the traffic. I've already had somebody approach me to do a pro bono traffic study for us so we can look into it initially. So hopefully that answers a lot of your questions and more. Any other questions? Yeah, Jeff? Oh, go ahead.
How far into the future do you estimate it will be before we could see something like this?
There's a particular person in the room from the Rays that might tell us the timeline. I'm not sure. I think it's probably 5 years out. Is that safe to say before a stadium would say it?
At least 4 to 5 years once the site is selected.
Correct. So I think that's the timeline that works with St. Pete. I assume it's kind of based on that. So, yep.
What happens next? How do you communicate this to the team?
Well, he's a representative from the team, and as I mentioned in my conversation, we met with Brian and Melanie from the Rays and had the conversation with them. My city manager reached out to Brian to let him know that we were doing this. He wasn't able to attend, so they sent a representative. We think that while we may have a few issues that we have to address, I think one of the key components is having a partner when you have a stadium site. A lot of the sites that were selected in Pinellas County are only Pinellas County. They don't have a partner like St. Pete does with Pinellas County. And we think the one thing that we have with the partnership with Hillsborough County, if you build it somewhere in Pinellas, Hillsborough County is not going to help fund it. And if you build it somewhere in Hillsborough County, I don't think Pinellas is going to help fund it. This is the one site with one property owner that allows that to happen. And so I think when you go and check off the good and bad boxes, I think we have a lot of good things at this site that a lot of others don't have. The transportation with the rail system, I think, being one of them, and the joint funding, and the 120 acres that allows you to build the come early, stay late experience. I think those are things that really work well for this site. Yep, Jeff?
Stadium looks like it's open air. Any thoughts?
He can address that, but I think this is just a footprint of a 30,000 square foot stadium that.
Yeah, if we get a $10 million contract to design the stadium, we may look into that. But right now, even we borrow images from the most traditional, even though the Rays are looking at very up-to-date, way high in technology. But this was the we call it the architectural images that a Main Street development with everything that offers a lifestyle center will be enjoyable for families. So this is our approach to tell you it can be done. This is an image of what could be. It's been done before. And, it's a big scale. Brick always bring down the scale to make it less monumental, to be close to the plaza and bring it to all the retails. There's some of the images that we have, like that one, the last board. Pretty much on the left lower corner, you're sitting in a cafe there, watching the thousands of people coming or getting out of it, or you were part of it. So that experience is what we assemble in this concept. The shape, the technology, that's to be determined.
There's one more question. That is, I doubt that you've had time yet to calculate what the overall economic impact of this will be to the community, but it has to be enormous, a huge number.
It's huge. Our accounting department is here. They're working on tabulating those numbers as we speak. Now, a development of this size and magnitude can be huge to not just, and this really isn't about Oldsmar. I just want to make that clear. The property just happens to be in Oldsmar. This is about keeping the Rays in the Bay Area and in the community. That's the most important thing to us. Obviously, I know Mayor Kreisman, in St. Petersburg, has tried to do it. And every time I talk to somebody, it's, let's first try and make it work in St. Petersburg. If we can't do that, let's at least keep it in Pinellas County. If we can't do that, then at least let's keep it in the Bay Area. And this is our effort to try and keep the value of the Rays and the economic value of a development like the Rays and this mixed-use development, and really take us into the next century with technology and corporate space and things like that. Florida's a beautiful place to live. Any other questions?
You mentioned the fact that you might be able to get Hillsborough and Pinellas on board, but do you actually have any sort of concrete agreements?
No, that hasn't been worked out. But I think the fact that some of the renderings, I think, and the flyby show that there's an incentive, and how that works out in agreements and things like that. But at least if it involves their county, be it through parking or the office complex on that side, and you do some agreement with, the two counties, this site is the only site that can do that. Any other site in Hillsborough or Pinellas, you're not going to get any cooperation from the respective counties. So this site is the one that could do it, if any of them. We have talked to Hillsborough County commissioners. They're aware of it. So anything else? Oh, Mike McCurrick is here. He's running for county commission. So hopefully if he gets elected, this will be something for him. Bruce, do you have anything to add? This is our city manager. I don't know if you have any questions. From the city staff, it hasn't really been overly involved. Deb's been involved in it a lot, but other than that, to your question, you've got to invest some time if you want to dream. So anything else? Nope. You're free to come up and take some pictures. Deb has pictures of two. What do you have? 2, 7, and 2, 8, and 9. 2, 7, and 9 is on a zip drive for you that you can take if you want to take a digital picture with you. Thank you for coming. Yep.